but I was broadcasting live, interacting with people and talking, and then all of a sudden, it just the button changed and said, "Ready to start your broadcast?" And I was in the middle of my broadcast when it stopped. So I don't know what that was about. That was some unusual glitch. Maybe that was some way of saying, you shouldn't be doing this broadcast right now. Maybe that's what that is. But let's see, Mr. Stoner found his way back. So thank you, sir. Um, but what I was in the midst of saying was just talking about the general ideas. I love to have conversations, whether it's just me alone or whether I have guests on. I really, really love having guests on. And usually they're friends of mine or at least acquaintances that I find fascinating and that are doing positive things in the world, or that at least have an interesting and positive story to share, hoping that by having the discussion, by having the interview, by having the conversations, we can enlighten other folks, inspire folks, and encourage folks to embrace the possible. Because I firmly believe that anything is possible if you truly believe and if you're willing to work hard for it, that it's possible. So yeah, so that's generally what we do here. So I see people are finding their way back. So thank you guys for sticking with me. I did want to give you a little bit of an update. So last week, the topic was basically talking about two different things that happened to me in my youth, in my teen years, that have recently come back with a vengeance in a good way, um, recently, and for the near foreseeable future. One of which was talking about the Young Americans and how they've been a part of my life since actually since I was 14 when I first saw them, but 15 when I first actually got to participate and perform with them up in northern Michigan as in a show as part of the American Musical Theater. And in I know I was in Gypsy, but I was also in a show called An Evening with the Young Americans. And it was a 2-hour concert that was incredible. Even though it's kind of funny because those of us in the group, they kind of referred to it in a negative way, like it was a bad show. Like I don't think it was a bad show, but it was definitely a big show. We had an orchestra and sets, and it was crazy. Like it was like Broadway show level craziness. That we literally, the day that we opened, we were rehearsing and putting together numbers just before we let people in to sit down. Like literally, that's what was happening. Um, and Terry goes, "Yay, AMT, yes sir." In my other room, I have one of the flags that flew out front from the summer of '79, and it has a bunch of signatures on it. Jeffrey Polk and a bunch of different people signed it for me. To this day, I still don't know how I got that flag because I know I didn't take it. And so I'm assuming someone else took it, had several, and I happened to be with them when they pulled them out. And I'm like, oh, I want one. I'm assuming that was the case, but I have no idea how I got it. But my mother was nice enough, God rest her soul, she was nice enough to take that and have it, mounted in a frame and, with the padding and all that stuff. And it's sitting in my dining room slash music room where the piano is and all of that. But so, yay, AMT. But anyway, I was just telling folks, in case you missed it last week, the two things were one, the Young Americans, and that I had this long, long association with that organization. And I was joking around about how so many times throughout my life, I thought, well, that's the end. That's the end of my Young American experience. That was great. I'm glad I had that experience and thought that was the end. And then, after a period of time, something would happen. And as I was joking, it was like Godfather, they keep pulling me back in, so all three of my daughters have been in the group and done a lot of things. They've all got to do Boyne just like I did. They've gotten to travel the world, and I've had um, the blessed opportunity to travel the world with them and direct them all around the world and all over the United States as well. And it's just been an absolute blessing to be part of the organization over the years. And just recently, as I think the last time I directed the group may have been, I'm going to guess and say 2018, and I thought that that was probably it. Um, and so I was, well, okay, time to move on, whatever. And as it turns out, I am back again, and I will be directing the Young Americans this summer. I'm actually writing a show for their summer camp that they'll be doing up in northern Michigan, and we may be doing some other places as well, and putting that all together. So I am excited about that. So, like I said, every time I think I'm done, you know, somehow I'm back in there, and that's an absolute blessing. Another thing that kind of ties in with that, and I'll get to the second thing in just a second, but I was talking with my friend Steve, who was on here a second ago on the other broadcast before it canceled, and explaining that on my time hop, my timeline thing on Facebook came up, um, pictures from the photo section that I'd done with him. What also came up on my time hop was a picture of myself with Milton Anderson. It's actually my favorite picture that I've taken with him. I don't have a lot of pictures with him, but that's my favorite, where we were sitting in northern Michigan. We were either at Harbor Springs High School, or I'm pretty sure that's where we were. I'm pretty sure it was Harbor Springs High School. And we were in the gym, sitting on the bleachers, and he had his arm around me and was talking to me about directing and conducting and different things, and giving me, the benefits of his knowledge and experience. And that's one of my favorite pictures, is with him in that moment. So that came up on my time hop too, of when I posted that. So anyway, so there's that. And then the second thing is, when I was 18, I recorded a record with Rosemont Records, a small independent label out of New Orleans, Louisiana. And I signed a deal with them and recorded, only got to record an EP before I ended up walking away from it all. But that EP, the song that was released, was an up-tempo dance song with a rap in it, kind of a funk song, funk, dance, R&B, pop, whatever you want to call it, called You're Bad, or You're So Bad. And on the flip side was a ballad called Stay Be My Lady. And as it turns out, that was something, again, I did it when I was 18 years old. I wrote and co-produced it, and it was just that summer, I kind of went on a tour and performed kind of all over the Southeast, and record was getting, decent amount of airplay. I got to open for a few different big artists, and then just decided it just wasn't for me, and kind of walked away from it. But as it turns out, the record itself had legs and has found an audience, and there are certain radio stations that old fashioned, that play the oldies, especially that specialize in funk music, that still play my record on rotation, or they have it on rotation. And I found this out quite a while ago. I also started getting emails from people over in Europe who were fans of the record, and so I guess it's like this underground cult classic song and record, and which I am absolutely, appreciative of and overwhelmed by. But yeah, so recently I've been contacted by some folks who were going to do some really cool projects with that record, and if all goes well, we will be actually reissuing that record. So we'll see what happens. But two things that happened, kind of around the same time, because that summer that I recorded this record, or going into the summers when I recorded the record, was also the summer that I left and went to Boyne. and performed at Boyne Highlands with the Young Americans there. I talked my manager into letting me do that. As soon as I finished all my vocals and all the stuff that I was going to record personally on the record, and it just needed to be mixed at that point, I convinced him to let me go to Michigan because I hadn't been on stage performing in a long time. And I thought being at Boyne in that environment, in, working on stage every night performing was going to get my performance chops back up, and I'd be in a much better position when it was time to go on the road and do my own shows. And it absolutely helped. Absolutely helped. So, anyway, so those are the two things. So the update is there was a gentleman, Ivan Marquez, who is the owner of Funk Freaks Records out in Southern California, who we've actually been in contact for a minute now, for a little bit. And he reached out and he told me a while back that he had some gigs to do in Texas. And so when he found out that I was in Louisiana, he said, well, when I finish my gigs, I'm driving over because I want to meet you. And so he did. So we met. We were safe. We had masks on and the whole deal, and stayed socially distant and all that, except to take, one picture together at the end. And we had a great conversation, and talked about some potential future projects and stuff that we may do. And so that was awesome. So that's an update from last weekend. That just happened a few days ago. And so that's an update on what we talked about last week. And so both of those things continue as I am continuing to assemble my team and work on the show and for the camps. And here's what I want to transition to next is I want to talk about Believe. This is Believe TV. So I want to talk about Believe. So we got the official okay and go ahead from the superintendent in my hometown of Bogalusa for the Bogalusa City Schools to set the date for the Believe camps to come back. And we're doing an in-person camp. It will be, we'll only be accepting up to a certain number. I don't want to say what that number is, but I just want you to know that we have said, for safety's sake, we're only going to take so many people right now. Now, it's possible that could change, but at this point, we're not going to take any chances. So we are restricting it to a certain number of students total. So kind of first come, first serve, but we have it limited per age group. So when you sign up, once that age group fills up, then that's it. That's all we can do. But that will be, so for those of you in Washington Parish, living in those surroundings or surrounding areas and would like to participate, that will be taking place July 5th through July 9th. Historically, we've usually been doing the camp the week before the 4th of July. This time it's going to be right after the 4th of July. So the 4th of July falls on a Sunday, and we're starting our camp on the 5th, the very next day. And we have a number of things. In fact, I just got off of a Zoom with our acting instructor from New York, Nick Rocks, and we were talking about how excited we are about some of the things that we're going to be bringing. But let me start by saying our theme every year, for those of you who don't know, with our Believe camp, what we do is, what Believe actually is a 5-day performing arts camp that culminates in a performance for the community by the young people. It's open to students entering 3rd grade. So if they're in 2nd grade right now and they're going to be going into 3rd grade, they're eligible to sign up. All the way through, we say 3rd grade through 12th grade, but that also means if you are graduating 2021, you can still participate. But after that, you can't. So we break them into 3 age groups: elementary, middle school, and high school. And I bring in these incredible, talented young professionals who teach them singing, dancing, acting, and all types of different creative things. And during the course of the week, we teach them a stage show, a musical variety stage show. And as I said, we perform that at the end of the week. Now, there is a slight change because of the limited number of students that we'll have and because of the limited number of seats that we'll be allowed to have for the performance. What we are planning on doing, the goal is normally what we would do is we'd have Monday through Friday, and they come to us from 8 till 4 every day. And then on Friday, at the end of that day, everybody would go home, but then they would come back at 6 or 7 or whatever time we designate, and we do a performance for the community. And so this year, what we're thinking about doing, just so that we can make sure that everyone who wants to see it gets to see it, is doing 2 shows. So possibly doing one Thursday night. So we go Monday through Thursday, do a show Thursday night. The kids come back to us again on Friday, hang out with us again all day Friday. We, rehearse again, and then we do another show Friday night when we would normally do our show. So the kids would actually get 2 shots at it this year. So that's kind of what we're planning right now. So I'm just going to throw that out there that's kind of the goal right now. And I can't think of any reason why that won't happen other than weather or something else. And we will be taking a number of health precautions as we do that. So as we conduct the camp. So it's all about the kids being safe and keeping them safe and keeping our staff safe and all of that. But we just we're just ready to do this thing, and we know the kids are ready, and we've missed them, and we're excited to bring it back. Every year we have a theme. So the first year it was Live, Laugh, Love. Then we did Dreams and Dreamers, Inspired, Love Train, Don't Stop Believing, Reach. I think that's all of them. And then this year, it's going to be Together. Right? Apropos, right? Together. So that's our theme, and we've got some really exciting ideas and things that we've been working on, and can't wait to work with the young people to do this. So anyway, so Together is our theme. We have that date set. We're in the midst, or hopefully next week, I will solidify and lock down the date for our Slidell, Louisiana camp. And we're still in talks to see if we can pull off one in Mississippi as well, because we normally go to Gallman, Mississippi as well. So we're going to see if we can pull all those off and everything. Well, thank you, Miss Karen. I think it's awesome too. I'm really, really excited about it. I get so excited putting the show together. I was actually laughing with making fun of myself in a way, talking with my one of my daughters the other day and explaining how I was working on one of the numbers from the show, and just listening to the number, it was really an impactful, heartfelt kind of number that hopefully will be inspirational to everyone, to the young people especially. And I literally found myself sitting here at my desk sobbing, just boo-hooing, because it touched my heart so much, and just me thinking about hopefully the impact it's going to have on the young people and the community. So anyway, there's that. Hello, Miss Renita. Good evening, and thank you for joining. And then let me see, Mr. Val Davis, Mr. Sweet D, as I love to refer to him. Speaking, you never know the lives you touch. I was contacted from a producer from London, England, wants to re-release Deep South Is. Yes! I love that song. That's my jam. And remastered it. And that's what they do, re-release R&B songs they love. Deep South is one of their favorites. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that just when you think, well, that was a moment in time, and you think you're done with it, and the fact that those things are coming back, and that there's an audience out there, and that it's made its way around the world. It's amazing. So congratulations, and I love that song. I have an MP3 somewhere around here, and I don't remember who. Someone got it for me because I didn't know. Um, Somewhere along the line, I lost the record I had, the actual copy of the 45 that I had of Deep South Is. And sorry, for those of you that don't know, so uh, Mr. Davis and I, see, he says the song was recorded 43 years ago. That is crazy. That's so crazy. Um, so he was uh, the primary bass player, vocalist. I mean, he played a number of instruments, but primarily the bass player for a local band from our area called Deep South. And they went into the studio, the same studio that I told you that Stevie Wonder recorded in down here in my hometown. Um, they went in and recorded their theme song, which was Deep South Is. Because usually whenever they played and did concerts around here and played dances or whatever, um, they I think they usually close with that song if I remember correctly. Um, so Sweet D, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I think you guys used to close with that song. I don't think you opened with it, but I'm pretty sure that was like the last song you did at the end. Um, but that was, yeah, that was my jam. Like I loved it. I remember how excited we all were when we were actually able to buy that record. Like that was the coolest thing. Um, so anyway, yeah. So he's from my hometown, and um, oh, so he's saying, "Yep, I was right." Yeah. So they used to close the show with "Deep South Is." It's amazing what you remember, right? And the things that stick with you over the years. So, um, so I am. Um, so anyway, so it was the coolest thing to get to sit down and talk with this gentleman, and that he was truly a fan. I mean, and that he knew the song inside and out, and he had all these questions about how it was produced. And one of the questions he asked that I could not answer was, "What synthesizers did you use?" I'm like, I have no idea. I honestly don't remember. Um, that would be a question for Chuck. Um, Chuck was the band leader and keyboard player for the group that Chuck Turner and the Traffic Jam Band were the band that backed me up on that and on tour. And so I'm pretty sure we were using his stuff because the only other thing, like in terms of what I played the piano on the ballad. I played, the Baby Grand on that. And I think I may have played strings on some of that, but I think Chuck played the rest of it. And then I know I played some of the basic chords and stuff, and some of the stuff on a keyboard, a synthesizer of some sort. But it was whatever they had there. We just found the sounds or whatever. So I don't know if that was Chuck's or if that was um, Mr. Taylor, who owned the studio, if that was his. But I have no idea what keyboard that was. So sorry. um, there's a lot of stuff I remember about that session and about recording that record, but I do not remember what what it was. Uh, I'm pretty sure it was not Roland. Um, yeah, I just don't know. I don't know. So anyway, um, and I've had so many keyboards over the years. And for a while, I was really, I mean, I guess I kind of still am, but I was really a Roland guy. So Roland synthesizers and keyboards and stuff was usually that was my mainstay. Like you have some people who are Yamaha, some people who are Krumar, some people, who, various different types, right? Um, I was never really married to any one kind. Um, but for some reason, I think it was just because I was familiar with Roland. Roland was not the first keyboard I owned, because the first keyboard I ever bought myself was a Krumar Trilogy. I bought that in Atlanta, and it was, I want to say that place was called Rhythm City. I could be making that up, but I want to say Rhythm City was the name of it. Was a big, huge music store that sold instruments and stuff in Atlanta. And I bought that and speakers, and some microphones and stuff. And so that was the first thing I owned. Then I traded that in for a Casio something because I had a little small hatchback car. And so when I left Atlanta, I didn't have anything to put it in. And I don't know why. I just wasn't thinking forward that like, oh, well, rent a truck or something. So I went and I traded it in, all of that equipment so that I have a small portable keyboard. And that's when I got a Casio and I brought that back with me. And that is so boring. I don't even know why I'm talking about that right now. But anyway, just getting to talk with that guy about the song and how much it meant to him and how much he wanted to keep it alive and get it out there more and all this stuff. And the fact that there's so many people, like just since I posted on Facebook about that meeting, I have gotten so many like requests for the record. Because I did happen for years now, I have gone thinking that I only had 3 copies left of my record. And and a lot of people over the years have asked to purchase it. And I've always said no, because I wanted to save it and give it to each of my 3 daughters for them to each have one. Not that they would necessarily want them, but I figured, what the heck? At least they'll have something from their old man. And so the idea was to give them that. Oh, wait, hold on. What is he saying? Yep, they want the history as well. Pretty Tony, the drummer. Pretty Tony. Oh my gosh. Bringing back. And I wrote and produced it. I wish I had more pictures. Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. We definitely need to have. We keep talking about it, but I got to get you on the show at some point. And maybe we can do that. Maybe we can do a Deep South reunion and just talk about the record and stuff. I don't know. I know I'd be interested in it. I think it's a strong part of my youth and my memory of things I remember that were special to me and that were inspirational to me as somebody young aspiring artist. To have folks like that around. And I'm trying to remember if you were the one that told me. I mean, I kind of knew this, but someone recently, in recent years, reached out to me that was part of Deep South and said that, explained to me that my dad was kind of instrumental in you guys coming together. I know he was always a big fan and promoter of you guys, so much so that when we had that party with Stevie Wonder's band that Stevie eventually showed up to, that he hired Deep South. I'm assuming he paid y'all. I don't know, but had you guys come and play in our backyard, as the entertainment for the party, and that eventually, Stevie got out there and played and all that stuff too. But I've told that story before. Anyway, so those are the recent things. But I wanted to talk about Believe, for a couple of things about it, because there are a number of things that are in the works as we speak, and I've been talking about this for the longest time, but it's actually officially happening and in motion and all of that stuff. Is Miss Karen, you have to go. I get it. I know it's really, really late. Greetings to you and sleep well. Say hello to my friends in Germany, in Hamburg. Love you guys and thank you so much for tuning in. So there are a lot of things that are in motion right now with us restructuring Believe. So in the past, and it's probably too much information, but I'm just going to tell you anyway. So in the past, I had my own DBA and an incorporation of Icon Performing Arts. And initially, that was what I used to produce my after-school arts program out in Southern California, as well as the solo vocal competition that I produced every year in Southern California called SoCal Icon. And so Icon Performing Arts produced those things, as well as some other things as well, including some dinner theater shows and some some other concerts and stuff like that. Um, but it was all done under Icon Performing Arts. Well, about a year or two ago, the team that I always bring out to do Believe, those directors approached me and said, "Hey, we want to be your partner. We don't want to just be hired guns who come in." And to be honest, they approached me at a time when I was really about to hang it up, to be honest. Um, it's a lot of work. And it's not that I don't want to keep doing it. It wasn't that I didn't want to keep doing it. It was just a whole lot of work. And to be quite honest, a lot of people don't realize that for the most part, I wasn't really making anything, right? So I wasn't really making money. Now I paid my team because they were taking time from their jobs and coming from cross country, right? From New York and from Nebraska and from California, from all over, right? And so I had to take care of them because they were taking weeks out of their lives and schedules when they could be booked to do other gigs. And they were coming here to do this as a favor for me. So they approached me and they said, this is no longer a favor. We want to be partners with you. And so we talked about restructuring everything. And so we decided to officially become partners and to start this as a nonprofit and to make it, instead of Icon Performing Arts, it's now, because there were just too many names. There's Icon Performing Arts, Believe Performing Experience, Believe Summer Camp. It was like, oh my gosh, there's too many stuff. So it's like, look, if we're going to be Believe, let's just be Believe. And so we are now officially Believe Performing Arts Experience. That is the name of our nonprofit. And we are in the midst of going after our 501c3. Legit this time. We are legit. We've tried before, but this is moving forward. It's happening. And there's anybody out there who wants to help, we appreciate it. But we're moving forward with that so that we can. And just for those that don't know, 501c3 allows you to be a charitable organization in the sense that it makes it so that one of the big benefits is that it allows people and organizations to then, and companies, whatever, to donate, to contribute, and have it as a tax write-off, right? So, and then you also become eligible for a great number of grant opportunities. And so, given what we do and some of the things that we have planned that we want to do and expand our operations, that would be really great for us. And so, there's my friend, Mr. Michael Galloway. What's up, bro? I really enjoyed your program, First Mind Podcast. I love tuning in for that, and I learned a lot as well. Thank you so much, man. Thank you for tuning in. So, as I was saying, with Believe, I'm sure that people have their own, I'm going to call them misconceptions about what they think is going on and what's happening with Believe. And like I said, I think a lot of people will be very surprised to know that I generally don't make money. In fact, there have been a couple of times when I actually lost money doing it because genuinely was doing it for, mainly to begin with, for my hometown community. That's what I wanted to do it for. Because as I've talked about in this program before, I stand on the shoulders of giants who came before me, educators, my parents, other musicians, the people that inspired me, like Mr. Davis there, the people who inspired me and who gave me opportunities, like Gene Foster out at the studio, and the others, Mr. Evans and others who gave me opportunities that taught me so much. And because of that, there comes a point where you kind of wake up and realize, oh wow, I guess it's my turn now, right? To try to be that for somebody else. And given the fact that I was traveling around the world doing it on behalf of another organization, I wanted to come home and put my own personal touch on what we were offering to the community and to the young people specifically. And so that's where Believe came from, and this idea of embracing the possible, using the performing arts to educate, inspire, and unite young people and communities. That's what we were about. So, anyway, um, so a lot of people don't really think it through and understand that it actually costs a lot of money, and it's a lot of work, and it's a lot that goes into the process of putting on something like this. To bring in a team from all over the country, to fly them in, to find housing, to feed them, to uh, all the for transportation, all that stuff, right? There's so much that's involved with all of that, and the total honest truth is that what we charge for the camp, which has gone up over the years from what we initially charged, we've been forced to go up, partially because we increased the size of our team, partially because we increased what we offered, and um, and just out of necessity, because things get more expensive. Things cost us more, so we have to charge more. But we've always tried to keep it low enough that it's not something that dissuades people from participating. And I've never wanted to be something that young people get priced out of, because that's who it's for. And ultimately that was my goal, was to come back and bless them with the arts, especially since the arts, especially the way that we bring it, um, there's not much of that in this area, and it's been gone for quite some time. And so that was part of the goal, was to bring that back and to use the arts as a means to, again, educate, inspire, and unite. So uh, anyway, it costs a lot. and I know that I've had people approach me, virtually every year someone will approach me and tell me, oh, you're just getting rich off of us. You just came down here to make a bunch. Trust me when I say I would make much more money working for someone else doing this than producing these camps. Trust me when I say that. I'm so much better off not doing the camps from a financial standpoint. And partially because we don't charge enough, to be honest. For most people that do camps like this, charge more than double what we charge. More than double what we charge for a 5-day camp from 8 to 4. I'm telling you, people charge at least twice as much than we do. And there are other camps that charge well beyond that. And so if you're able to, look it up and see what other camps are costing, and look at the value of what you're getting, then you'll understand that, no, we're giving quite the bargain. In fact, from a business standpoint, what I'm doing is not very smart, because I'm operating on faith in a number of ways. At least I have been in the past. And what I do is I reach out to, in the different communities, asking for contributions, for people to donate money and resources for us, so that we can afford to do this. Because without them, we couldn't even come close to affording it. Without the folks who help with housing, without those businesses that donate food, without in this case, friends of mine who have reached out and said, hey, I'll rent you guys a van or two for you to get to transport everyone around. Without those folks, and without some of the other local organizations that I've worked with and talked to, who've contributed, and families who've contributed, it costs a lot. And every year I'm grateful that the city backs us and helps us. I'm grateful that Bogalusa City Schools has agreed to partner with us on this and understand the situation. And so you got the city, the school system, and uh, the paper mill here in my town. So I live in a paper mill town, International Paper, and for almost since the beginning, maybe even from the beginning, I have to think about that. I have to go back and find out. But almost since the beginning, they um, have donated some money to help us out, and we are appreciative of that. Um, and this year is going to be an even bigger challenge because we're not going up on price from the last time that we did it in 2019, or was that 2000? Yeah, 2019. So was the last time that we did it in person. So we're not going up in price. We're leaving it there, and we have the restriction of how many people that we can do, that we can have. So that automatically makes us go, ooh, because in the past, my point of view has always been, if the numbers are high enough, participation will, you'll be able to take care of it all. It'll all work itself out in the end. Um, but this year is going to be a little bit more of a challenge. And so I will reach out and say that if anybody wants to help us to do this for our community and for the kids, I encourage you to please reach out. We'd love for you to do that. The second thing I would encourage you to do is, if you know of young people like that go to your church, or they're your neighbor's kids, or what have you, or they're your students or whatever, and you know they would benefit from something like this, but uh, maybe going through difficult times, as many of us are, and can't afford it, even at the what I consider to be the low price of $120 for the week, that they that perhaps you will scholarship those kids. Um, but what I don't, and I'm just going to be real about it, what I don't personally want to get into is people contacting me to say, "Oh, I want to sponsor some kids. Here's some money to sponsor the kids." Um, I'd rather you find those kids and then go online and sign them up. Okay, so if you go to BelieveCamp.com, that is our uh, website, and I should have put that on there. No, it's going to take too long for me to find it. Never mind. Anyway, so BelieveCamp.com is the website. BelieveCamp.com is our website. And so right now, the Bogalusa camp is up there, so you can register now. In fact, minutes after it went live, we had our first registrations. So I was really excited about that. And families reached out saying, "We're so excited, we can't wait." So I'm super excited about it as well, that we're going to be back. And it is something for the community, that we do for the community, and it's something that will bless everyone, I assure you. Coming together and all this, Bill said, yeah, it costs money to put these shows on. Yeah, it's a lot. If you, because usually the people once in a while we have folks who will come out, and in the past they've come out and they'll stick around for a little while and kind of just watch the operation, and they're usually kind of blown away at how well organized it is. It's a machine. You know, we have it all worked out, and the schedules and the rotations and the classes and all of that. Like, there is no, like, I think some people assume that the kids just show up and we just make it up as we go. It's like, oh, no, 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 no. we have schedules and spreadsheets and the whole thing worked out, what we're going to do. Now, we do always leave room for spontaneity and for, embracing the moment, right? The possible of the moment, in that everywhere we go, and I talked about this not too long ago, that sometimes when we go to multiple locations, kids will actually follow us and take the camp multiple times. And some of you may say, well, why would they do that? They took it one time, they've already experienced it. Why would they go do it again? One, because of what it provides for them. Two, because you're constantly always learning something, right? Uh, Three, because you're in a new environment and you get to interact with another group of kids other than the ones you initially did, a lot of which may be kids that you know. So it's a new environment. It always brings a new energy and all of that. But I would also say that we also adapt. So sometimes, let's say you went to 2 different back-to-back shows for our camps. You go one week in Bogalusa, and the next week you go to the one in Slidell. Well, the one in Slidell probably is going to look a little different than the one in Bogalusa, and it's and it may even have different numbers in it. Some, I mean, most of the show will be the same. The core structure of the show will be the same, but some of it will be different because we adapt to the kids that we're working with. And sometimes we find out that, oh, this kid is, we have this group of kids who have this particular talent, or they've been studying this, or something happened in this community that these kids are going through. And we think, oh, we should probably do this because this would be more meaningful for these kids and the community. And so we'll make those changes. And so we're always adapting. And that's those are some of the reasons why it's a different experience when they go to the next one. So they may know some of the stuff. And I mean, and sometimes we even change choreography, we change arrangements, depending on who's in front of us, and what we're dealing with. We have a message here. Hey, one of my favorite families. Are we coming to Gallman again? Yes, so that's what we were talking about. So we are hoping that we are. We are waiting to find out if we will be approved to come back. When I say approved, it's not like we got kicked out or anything like that. It's just because of COVID and everything else. And as I understand it, there's maybe new leadership and stuff that they don't know us and all of that. So we don't know yet. And we also don't know schedule-wise if they can even fit us in. So, depending on what they have going on. So I have no idea. Right now, I can't tell you that. My hope is that we will. And if you want to give a little shout out and nudge to the school, we love to. Obviously, we would love to come back. It's become a tradition, and you guys are like family to us as well. So we would definitely love to. So yay. And I can't imagine going through this year and not getting to see my girls. See that I would love to see my girls. So yeah, hopefully we will be. And as soon as we get the okay, that registration will go live immediately. And I'm hoping to send out emails to everybody to tell them, that registration is open and that they can register and all of that. But for any of you who are interested, please go to our website and check it out. Obviously, we have a presence on Facebook and on Instagram and stuff, but I encourage you to go to the website, BelieveCamp.com. There's a lot of information on there about our team. You get to read our bios and see some of the things we've done and, who we are and all of that. But you also get to see pictures and video from past shows and the fun that the kids are having. And you get to read some of the feedback that we've gotten from parents and educators and state representatives and mayors and people in the community who have experienced what we do and who understand the value of what we bring. And that while I know the reality is that a lot of people send out their kids because it's just like, great, give them something to do, get them out of the house and give them something to do. But understand that we view it as much more than that. And that we found that is much more impactful on these young people and on these communities than just babysitting, because and I know some people look at us as a glorified babysitter, it's 5 days, to do that. And it's awesome. The kids do get a t-shirt, a camp t-shirt. We just got our design done, graphics done on all that. So I'm super excited about that. And yeah, in fact, I think Nick said it's his favorite design so far. So anyway, so there's that. And so the main things that I wanted you to know about is that we're back. We will be doing in-person camps, taking lots of precautions, being careful, being safe, but we know how to do it, and so we're going to do that. We're going to have a great time. The kids are going to have a blast, and we're going to give them all that love and attention, and let them exercise all that energy out, and I mean exercise in both ways. uh, like exercising demons, exercise that energy out, and to get to be together. Like I said, the theme is together. And so we are going to be together, and we're going to have a great deal of fun, and it's going to be educational and inspirational and all that stuff. And I'm really excited about it. And I hope we can, as I always say, I always say to the parents and the people in the community, encourage your teenagers, encourage the high schoolers to participate, because usually at that age, that's when the parents go, well, if they want to, they'll let me know. Well, a lot of times kids don't know. And I gave the example of me with the Young Americans. I wasn't going to go, even as much as I liked the Young Americans, and I'd seen them before on TV and all of that. When I was 14 and they were coming to my town, my parents would have bought me a ticket if I asked them to. You know what I mean? They certainly would have. But I didn't, because the night that they were going to be performing their show, I happened to have band practice. So I didn't even bother to ask them. And then, as fate would have it, um, the Levy sisters decided they had tickets, could not go, and gave those tickets to my mom for me, you know, insisting that I go. And again, look at how much differently my life would have turned out had I not that one thing set a series, a chain of events into motion for my life that have not only touched my life, but that of my children, and so many others, right? Um, that one act, I mean, that also led to the Young Americans coming back here, because that was the last time they had been here. They'd been to Franklinton, but they hadn't been to Bogalusa. And I was helpful in being instrumental in bringing them back to Bogalusa, and then getting them on a regular schedule of coming and doing these workshops in Bogalusa that they had been doing. And that I know touched a lot of lives. Um, I still run into young adults now who will stop me and go, "You're that guy. You're that guy that brought the Young Americans," and and it's something that sticks with them, and they've never forgotten. And folks are the same way about Believe. And uh, while they are similar, there are some definite differences in how we do things, and obviously who's involved, and the intricacies of what we do, and all of that. But Believe is back, and we would love your support. Anybody who wants to support us, we'd appreciate it. Once we get our 501c3, your donations and contributions will be retroactive, where you'll be able to write them off next year. So once we get um, our official 501c3 approval, you'll be able to write that off. So yeah. So anyway, there's that. But we'd appreciate any support, as well as, like, if there are any businesses or any other schools that maybe not this year, but maybe next year we could come to, or in the fall. Like I said, we're going to start offering some other things that happen throughout the year as well, some other opportunities. So we'd love to talk to you about that. If you'd like to see some of the folks from Believe more often, or in different situations other than just the summer, we'd love that too. So we'd love for you to reach out to us, and we'd love to have that conversation with you. But again, go to BelieveCamp.com. Reach out to me, there or here, and I would love to talk to you about it. So anyway, yeah, just trying to catch you up on everything. That's kind of where I've been and where I'm at. And it's falling right in line with, it's so interesting. I'm going to leave it with this concept and idea that it is fascinating to me. Those of you who watch the show know I always talk about how I analyze things and sometimes overanalyze things. But what it really is just showing an appreciation for it, what has transpired and what has led to certain things in my life. And what has, and so just like I just, tied all, um, connected all the dots of where I am now in terms of what I'm doing with Young Americans, and even believe to an extent back to the generosity of two ladies saying, here's 2 tickets to go see this performance. Little did I know that that performance was going to change my life. God knew, but I didn't know. And little did I know that each time that I walked away from the group thinking, and I don't mean walked away, but I mean each time that I did my little activity with them, whatever it was going to be, and I moved on thinking, well, that's the end, you know, there's no way I would have known that I'd be doing what I'm doing right now, or that I would have done what I've done these past years and decades. Um, and that's the thing for me is connecting all those dots and understanding that in order for this to happen, this had to happen first. That led to this, which led to this, which made this possible. And I love connecting those dots. And a lot of it's just understanding and being appreciative of the blessings that that I've received and continue to receive, and feel obligated to then share. Like I said before, I stand on the shoulders of giants who came before me and who gave pretty much their entire adult lives to helping, to teaching, to providing opportunities, to setting the stage for me to learn, to do the things that I got to do. And then at some point, it's like, okay, you're up, And so several years ago, I I made a vow to myself and to God that I was going to spend as much of my talent and time and energy as possible trying to give back and to make the world a better place. Primarily focused on working with youth, but overall, just just trying to make the world a better place. And I've tried to do that through Believe and also through my Unity campaign that I've done and hope to continue to do. So I appreciate any support in any of those things in any way possible, even if it's just spreading the word. That's very, very helpful as well. We aren't going to have the kind of budget that I'd like to have this year for promotion and stuff. So we're going to try to get the word out as much as we can, mostly through social media. And we'd appreciate if you guys would help too. And one of the things I'm going to tell you straight up. So here's one of my, it's not really a pet peeve, but it's one of my frustrations is, and I know a lot of us have this, is that there are times when we put things out there saying, here, spread the word. And what people do is they go like, and then they move on. Okay, that's not spreading the word. Liking to some degree helps in terms of some of the algorithms that are out there and people finding it. But generally speaking, it's much better if you share it. And it especially helps if you share like if I post something about Believe camps, if you share it on your page or you share it in groups that you're in or on other pages that you've been on and endorse it, it's much more impactful. Trust me, it's much, and I understand that takes a couple of minutes. I totally get that it takes a few minutes, and I understand that I'm asking that, but it's just a few minutes. It really shouldn't take that long to hit share, to point to where it's going, and for you to write a little note saying, you should check this out. It's really great. Sign up now. Register now. That's what we're saying. That's when it's really helpful. Liking it, cool. I love it when you like them, but when it's impactful is when you share it. And when you share it and endorse it, it's doubly impactful. And send it in privately to messages to different specific friends, or tag them or whatever. But that's what's really helpful. So anyway, I thank you guys so much for tuning in for joining. And the one last thing, I'm going to throw this on screen just because it makes me happy. I mentioned a little bit earlier that Deep South, that I felt like my dad was somehow involved in. So thank you, thank you. I am so blessed that when I say I stand on the shoulders of giants, my parents are number one on that list for me. Number one on that list of the shoulders I stand on. They set the examples for me, uh, including the way that they gave back to the community, not just as educators, as teachers in the classroom, but they gave back to the community. My dad, with his annual, you know, 3 busloads of kids that he would take on trip to New Orleans to go sightsee and see the cultural uh, sites in New Orleans, and then also to go to, at that time, was a New Orleans theme park, Pontchartrain Beach. Um, for a lot of those kids, they never other if it hadn't been for that, they never would have made it outside of our town. They've never been to New Orleans, and some never returned, you know, to New Orleans after that, or got beyond our city limits. So he was providing something very useful for the community, widening folks' horizons, and that's what I'm trying to do by bringing Believe and taking it wherever we take it. Is kind of like with the show, sharing. When I have guests on, I've met these amazing people who have inspired me, taught me, educated me in some way, and this is my opportunity to share them with you, with all of you. So anyway, just want to thank you guys again for tuning in, and we will see you all again next time. Embrace the possible, live long and prosper. Peace.